I also want to say to the people that are watching us live on the internet, it is always good to stand before you on the Sabbath day. Good evening. Sisters and brothers, this is a high Sabbath here. In fact, it was a high Sabbath that got the whole world messed up on Passover, because Jesus died on the 24th day of the month Abib, and the next day was the 15th day, which is the first day of unleavened bread. It was on the 14th day, rather, and the next day was the 15th, which was the unleavened bread. And everybody didn't know that the 15th that followed the 14th was a Sabbath day. So being that the Bible said that they wanted Jesus off the cross on the Sabbath day, everybody assumed that it was Friday. That's why they said Jesus died on Good Friday and rose Easter Sunday morning, because they didn't know about these high days. And these high days, sisters and brothers, the Lord have written not just so we can go through rituals. They are here to teach you. Every high day in the 23rd chapter of Leviticus have a message for us, because the Lord is letting you know what will happen in the future, or He's letting you know what should be. So when we deal with these high days, we're not just here to do a bunch of blowing a hump. You know, like a lot of people that have ram horns now. All they're doing now is blowing ram horns all over. But what does it mean? All you're doing is making a bunch of racket, sisters and brothers. So if you're going to blow the horn, good. But now blow the real horn, the word of God, sisters and brothers.
Right.
And we're going to deal with this day, because this day have a great significance. In fact, it is a day to inform you. So we're going to start it as we always do in the 23rd chapter of Leviticus, sisters and brothers, because the Lord set forth these days. Because now you have the people that call themselves us, you know, they tell me, what's they call this, Rosh Hashanah? This is their new year. But it always puzzled me. You have a new year in the month Abib. Now, how are you going to have another new year 7 months later? And people want to ask, well, you know, what are y'all doing and comparing us to the people that call themselves Jews? Sisters and brothers, there is no comparison. I tell you and I tell everybody else, God made Israel his priest.
Right.
God gave his word to Israel. That's us. And nobody else. Esau might be our twin brother, but he's just like the rest of the heathens. If we don't teach him, he don't know it. And had he not been converted by our forefathers, the Hasmonean, or what they call the Maccabees, it wouldn't be no such thing as Judaism. We gave him that, but they only gave him enough so he can act as a barrier between our forefathers and the Syrians, which they was fighting against. Nothing else, sisters and brothers. So it is an embarrassment to me when somebody come up and ask you, well, you know, the Jews doing this, why not you? I just look at them. You just embarrassed me.
Right.
You may as well ask me why the Catholic keep Sunday. They just as informed, you understand? So I don't want nobody comparing me, calling me, telling me, why don't you keep this day? Why don't you keep that day? I only keep what the Lord put in the Leviticus here, 23rd chapter. And the reason we keep this is because it is the gospel. It is informative. It is telling you what the Lord is doing. We don't do rituals, sisters and brothers. Pagans do rituals. The servants of God teach the word of God. Now we're going to start this at 23, Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and verse 1. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel and say unto them,
Go ahead.
concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
He said, now these are my feasts. Now, because the Lord talk about feasts here, people think that you have to feast on all these days. You have some people, classes, not in the Israel of God. Because if it is in the Israel of God, the teacher going to be, the head of that class going to be looking for a job before sundown tonight. But the people at other camps are trying to feast on this night because it says a feast. Well, Brother Boy, it says a feast? I said, yeah. Also, you have the Day of Atonement come on the feast. How can you feast while you fasting? It's just the way the Lord put it. This is, even though it is under the feast, it is not a feast. This is a memorial, something to remind you of what is to be. Skip down to verse 4 and read it.
These are the feasts of the Lord.
Now, I didn't say the feast of the Jews, sisters and brothers. These are the feasts of the Lord. So you say you're a servant of the Lord, then these are your feasts also. Go ahead and read.
Even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
Even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their season. What's it mean in their season? Just like your birthday. You don't have your birthday every fourth Sunday or every third Sunday. You have your birthday on the day that you was born. That is the season for you to celebrate your birthday, sisters and brothers. In this season that the Lord set forth. Now let's get down to the feast that's in question here. The memorial of the trumpet. Skip down to verse 23. Verse 23. Okay, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying,
go ahead.
In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation.
Now he said, this day shall you have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of the trumpet. You should have a holy convocation. That means you're supposed to have a holy gathering. This is what this is, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
You should do no servile work. You shall not buy. You shall not sell. You shall not cook. You shall not travel.
No servile work.
Wait a minute. I didn't know that. The reason I'm doing this, sisters and brothers, because we have a bad habit of not reading. Every year, somebody come and ask me 50,000, can I cook? Can I do this? I said, go to the book. Ask the book. Don't ask me. I didn't write this. I only teach it. That's why the world is messed up now. You read the book. You don't believe the book, so you go and ask the preacher, well, must be more to this. He said, okay, then. Well, I think so. And then he's going to tell you, now everybody is off in falsehood. Read the book. Y'all understand? Now, what verse are we?
That was the end of 25.
We can hear it, man. I'm going to have to fire this guy. Because we're supposed to do some prep while we're getting here. This is very amateurish. And I want, no, you fix it, Hoover. This is your team. What verse are we now?
That was the end of 25.
Go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month.
But we're not going to go. See, it made me mess up now. How can it be 25? Read 24 and keep going. Go ahead.
Speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Now,
you don't make an offering anymore because of Jesus, sister and brother. When Jesus died, that terminated animal sacrifice. But you still have to keep this day. So this is a memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. This day is to remind you of something that will happen, but we're going to show you what happened in the past so you will recognize it when it comes to the future. What we're going to show you? We're going to show you when the Lord got ready to come down on this earth and give Israel his commandments. Let's see what happened in that day. We're going to Exodus, the 19th chapter. Exodus chapter 19. Because we want to look at this and know and understand how the Lord operates. So when you understand how the Lord operates, when somebody try to tell you something contrary, you know better. Because they always do the same thing. I mean the same thing. He don't deviate one iota. Exodus the 19th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 10. Because this is when the Lord is getting ready to give Israel his commandments. It was so important to him until he brought them himself. He didn't send an angel to do this. He brought these himself. 19 and 10. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes.
Go ahead.
And be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai.
He said, I want you to go and sanctify the people and be ready against the third day, because on the third day the Lord is going to come down in the sight of all the people in Mount Sinai. Skip down to verse 14. Verse 14, and go ahead.
And Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people.
Go ahead.
And they washed their clothes.
Go ahead.
And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
I want you to wash your clothes and don't mess with your wife. The Lord don't want nothing unholy about you. Go ahead and read.
And he said unto the people, and it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightning and a thick cloud upon the mount.
Go ahead.
And the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
Now look what it said. It was thunder and lightning when he came down. And the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, because the trumpet blowing, announcing the coming of the king. Well, that's the Lord. And when that trumpet got real loud, the people trembled. Go ahead and read.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God. And they stood at the nether part of the mount.
Go ahead.
And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace. And the whole mount quaked greatly.
Now see, the Lord come down in smoke because the Lord told you he didn't want to make no images, want man to make no images of nothing. And he tell you, when he came down, you saw no similitude of anything, because he don't want you to make no graven images. Because you know man want to make an image always so he can have something to praise. He want to see something. But the Lord wants you to hear more than see. This is the big message here. I want you to hear what I got to say. Don't be gawking at me. Listen to what I got to say. Go ahead and read.
Verse 19. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice.
So when the trumpets got louder and louder and louder, then Moses spoke, and the Lord answered them, sisters and brothers. And then that's when the Lord conversation, he gave the 10 commandments. We read that in the last lesson. But let's go into Exodus, the 20th chapter, and we're going to read one verse. Verse 18. 20 and verse 18. Okay, go ahead.
And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off.
So there was a very, very loud coming of the Lord, sisters and brothers. That's the way it's going to be in the last days. People will have you thinking that it's going to be a big secret. You know, like somebody driving in a car, all of a sudden, boom, somebody disappeared. The car run off in the ditch. Are you walking with somebody and talking, and you look around and say, do you see so? And you turn around, they gone. It is not like that.
Right.
It's going to be so noisy and so loud until everybody's going to know that, hey, this has to be coming of the Lord. Or either the nation done fool everybody, going to say this, the Martians are coming. That's why the kings of the earth is going to fight against the Lord. Because I know if they had their right mind, how you going to go to war against the Lord and all his angels? You've been brainwashed, sister and brother. So now, at the coming of the Lord, it's going to be loud, the trumpet's going to be blown, just like it was in that day. But also, sisters and brothers, there's another thing that happens. When you get ready, when the Lord get ready to go to war, the trumpet's also involved. Even when Israel was a nation, they always drew the trumpet. When they got in trouble, they drew the trumpet of retreat. Why do you think military got all this trumpets? Somebody read the book, sisters and brothers. Now let's go and look at the war. Let's go into Numbers, the 31st chapter. Numbers chapter 31. That's why, sisters and brothers, when you have some understanding, you know when the Lord come upon this earth, the whole earth is going to know that something's going down. They might not understand what it is because a lot of them don't have no understanding, but they're going to know something happened. I don't know what's happening, but whatever it is extremely noisy. And there's a whole lot of stuff going to go on. Numbers chapter 31, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Numbers chapter 31 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Avenge the children of Israel of the Midianites.
Go ahead.
Afterward shalt thou be gathered into thy people.
So Moses had another job. I want you to take care of the Midianites, because when Israel was coming out of Egypt, Midianites went around the edge and killed a lot of the people on the edges and a lot of the stragglers. So the Lord saw it, and the Lord always pay you back. So I want you to avenge yourself. Me of the Midianites. Go ahead and read.
And Moses spake unto the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves unto the war, and let them go against the Midianites, and avenge the Lord of Midian.
Go ahead.
Of every tribe 1,000, throughout all the tribes of Israel, shall you send to the war.
He said, I want you to get 1,000 out of every tribe. That means it's going to be 12,000 they was going to send to the war against the Midianites. Go ahead and read.
So there were delivered out of the thousands of Israel 1,000 of every tribe, 12,000 armed for war. And Moses sent them to the war.
Go ahead.
1,000 of every tribe, them and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, to the war.
So he sent 12 tribes, but then he sent the priest Eleazar with the instruments of war, and what else?
And the trumpets to blow in his hand.
And the trumpets to blow in his hand. Because it is time to go to war, sisters and brothers. You don't go to war without the trumpets, and we're going to show you this. So I want you to send 12,000. Then I want you to send the priests along with the instruments, and you're going to find out another one. And when we get into Joshua, that some of the instruments was the Ark of the Covenant, which represent the presence of the Lord. So now, he got the instruments and the priests with trumpets. Now we're going to find out how many trumpets, because the Lord has laid this thing down to the most final denominations, because he wants you to understand what's going on. So now let's go into Joshua, the 6th chapter. Joshua chapter 6. Because, sisters and brothers, the Lord wants you to know what he's doing. So if you don't do it, you are in trouble, and it's all on you. You can't stand before him and say, Lord, I didn't know this year. You should have known it. I had it written in the book. You should have at least peeped at it. You might have saved yourself. Because the Lord said, you're going to be judged out of the things that's written in these books. What book? The one that's in your life. Joshua 6, and we're going to start at verse 1. Joshua 6 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in.
Now you heard of Jericho where the walls fell flat. Now the Lord sent Israel and told Joshua, look, Jericho, I have delivered it in your hand. So now they had spies, and they tried to catch the spies, and the spies got away. They spied out Jericho because they knew that Israel was coming. So they were scared. Why they were scared? Because the Lord put the fear of God in them. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Joshua, see, I have given it to thine hand, Jericho.
Go ahead.
And the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor.
Go ahead.
And you shall compass the city, all ye men of war.
He said, now I've given it to you now, and I want you to surround the city, all you men of war. Go ahead and read.
And go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days.
Go ahead.
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns.
Now how many priests? 7, sisters and brothers. Because we want to remember, 7 priests. They're going to go before the ark. What? The Ark of the Covenant. That's before the coming of the Lord, because that's what the covenant means. 7 priests with 7 ram horns or 7 trumpets. Go ahead and read.
And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpet.
I want you to go around it once a day, but on the 7th day, I want you to surround the city 7 times. Then the priest going to blow with the trumpet. Go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat.
Go ahead.
And the people shall ascend up every man straight before him.
He said, now when you surround it, then you're going to have the priest blow with the ram horn, blow the trumpet, then I want the people to shout. And when they shout, the wall's going to fall down. The Lord is, we're going to find out that this is what's going to happen in the future. Instead of being on one city or one little old nation, it's going to be on the world. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6. And Joshua, the son of Nun, called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord.
So I want you to prepare for this walk. Now let's go make it. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12. And go ahead.
And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them, but the reward came after the ark of the Lord.
So now we're talking about the rearward, the people coming up after the ark of the Lord, and what they do, go ahead and read.
The priests going on and blowing with the trumpet.
So now the priest is going on blowing with the trumpet, sister and brother, because the trumpet is what's going to call the battle. Let's go. They're going to muster the people to the battle. Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times.
Go ahead.
Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord has given you the city.
Now, let's see what they did. Skip down to verse 20 and read it.
So the people shouted when the priests blew with the trumpet. And it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat.
Go ahead.
So that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city.
Now, the Lord showed you this one thing here, but this is a picture of what is to happen, sister and brother. So Joshua and the people surrounded the city 7 times, and then the priest blew the trumpets, and the people shouted, and the wall fell down. And Israel took Jericho. Just that simple, sister and brother. But it all happened at the calling of the wall by the trumpets. The trumpets is what's going to call the soldiers to war, or the trumpet is going to announce the coming of God or coming of the King. That's the way the Lord has it. This is why we're holding this day. Now let's go and see if it's any difference. Now let's go in the new book. Let's go into Revelation, the 6th chapter. This book that most preachers don't want to go into. But we're going to look at it. Revelation chapter 6. And we're going to start reading at verse 12. Revelation chapter 6 and verse 12. This is when the Lord is getting ready to come, sisters and brothers. This time comes after a time that's called the Great Tribulation. That's what we had a lesson on. What was that, week before? I don't know. I know it was lately. But the whole thing is, this is the time that comes after the Great Tribulation. We're going to start at verse 12, Revelation 6 and 12. Okay, go ahead.
And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood.
This here alone, sister and brother, let us know that this ain't going to be no big secret, is it? When that 6th seal is open, all of a sudden the sun go black. Boom, like look at a nice sunny day now. What happens if the sun just go out right now? That's going to get somebody's attention, ain't it? Then the moon going to turn red. Go ahead and read.
And the stars of heaven fell into the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind.
Go ahead.
And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places.
Go ahead.
And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb.
Sisters and brothers, that's when every man is going to understand then that God is. See, half of the world, 2/3 of the world don't believe that God exists. They just go through it because of tradition. The reason I know is because they don't do nothing he said. They don't teach his word. They don't keep his law. The whole world is misbehaving, sisters and brothers. But now, when that heaven roll back like a scroll, everybody's going to see him. That's why the Lord tell you in Revelation, the 1st chapter, he cometh and every eye going to see him. They might not know what they're looking at, but they're going to know one thing. That's got to be the Lord. Because they said, hide us from the wrath of the Lamb. All of a sudden, crazy people like us are going to be, all of a sudden going to be the smart people. That's because his wrath is ready to come. But you've been in the churches, Jesus don't have no wrath. You understand? You know, Jesus loves everybody. You're a child of God. You're a thief, you're a child of God. You're an adulterer, you're a child of God. You're a sodomite, a homosexual, you're a child of God. Yeah, and you know what God do with his children when they misbehave? He puts them in the fire. It's called a lake of fire. So it's to hide us from the face of the Lamb. Go ahead and read.
For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Now, he is getting ready, sisters and brothers, to pour out his wrath upon this earth. But being that there have been a time that's called a great tribulation, and the servants of God have gone through a whole lot of suffering. Some of them had to die because they refused to get the mark of the beast in their right hand or in their forehead. You might not know what it is, but they train you to take that mark every Ash Wednesday, sisters and brothers. So when it's time for you to do it, you think it's natural. You thinking that they putting the cross that represents Jesus on your forehead. No, what they're doing is putting the mark of the beast on you. And the Lord said, everybody that had that mark, he's going to deal with it. And it's not going to be nice, sister and brother. So now, when he get ready to come, he is going to put a mark on his servant. Because where do you think Satan gets his mark from? He always mimicking God. So he can be close to God. So he can tell you that he is God. Now let's see what the Lord is going to do before he comes now. We're going to go into Revelation, the 7th chapter, and start reading at verse 1. Revelation 7 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Now, he's not holding the 4 winds like blowing the air. He's holding the nations back, sisters and brothers. If you're holding back the 4 winds, that's the whole 4 corners of the earth, sisters and brothers. I mean, ain't nobody going to make war. Ain't nobody going to shoot a bullet until the Lord mark his servant. Where is he going to mark him at? In the forehead. Where do you think Satan got his from? Go ahead and read.
And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with the loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their forehead. So
that's how the Lord going to do. He's going to seal his servants in his forehead. So Satan looked at it. I'm going to seal my servant. I'm going to give them a mark in their forehead and in their right hand. Pay attention to Ash Wednesday, sisters and brothers. All you got to do. I remember when I was in service, you know, I wasn't around a whole lot of Gentiles. But when I went into service, all of a sudden, Ash Wednesday come up. I saw all these white guys walking around with this dirt in their forehead. First, I thought maybe somebody done put, but I saw so many. I asked her, what's going on? Oh, this is Ash Wednesday, you know. He put the seal of Christ in our forehead. What? Where do you think they got that from? Right here, sister and brother. So the Lord said, I don't want you to hurt nothing until I put the seal of God, my servants, a seal in their forehead. Go ahead and read.
And I heard the number of them which were sealed. And there was sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
So the first thing, Israel is always first. Now these people in the location, this is not the whole world now. Even though this is going to affect the whole world. But if you're not here, maybe you can escape some of it. But these people are right here where the battle is going to take place. That's why it means in 24th chapter of St. Matthew's, where the carcass is, that's where the eagles going to be gathered together. Because we have a location. So now, Israel wasn't the only one that was sealed. Skip down to verse 9. Verse 9 and read it.
After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
That lets you know that there's a lot of non-Israelites that were sealed too at that time. But these people was converted during the Great Tribulation, sisters and brothers. These people are the ones that survived it. Skip down to verse 13, and this question was asked. Who are these people? Verse 13, go ahead.
And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they?
Go ahead.
And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation.
Go ahead.
And have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.
So these are ones that washed their robes. That's during the Great Tribulation, sister and brother. Probably a lot of these people didn't even know, didn't even believe in the Lord. But the Lord brought the most holy man on the earth in the eyes of man to perpetrate the biggest slaughter and killing on earth. Because this is going to be directed by Papa, sister and brother. Because he's going to kill, the Bible says he's going to kill the mighty, going to make war against the mighty and the holy people. He's going to destroy them. And if you survive this, you are very blessed, especially if you survive it without a mark on your forehead, which is called the mark of the beast. So these people, they have survived the mark of the beast. Read that last verse. Go ahead and read.
Verse 15.
Oh, you read 14?
Yes.
Okay, now these people have survived it, sister and brother. They came out of this great tribulation, but they have suffered because a lot of their loved ones and a lot of people that stood for this had been beheaded. So the Lord was not going to let these people come under his wrath. So he wanted to mark these people. Now when he started pouring out his wrath, he don't have to be careful. So now he's getting ready to pour out his wrath. Let's see the first thing happen. Let's go into Revelation the 8th chapter. Revelation the 8th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 1. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half an hour.
So now he opened the seventh seal. It was real quiet. And what happened? Go ahead and read.
And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets.
Wait a minute. How many trumpets did the priests have when Joshua and them went to war?
7.
Same thing, sister and brother, because the Lord is showing you in the past what's going to happen in the future. So he saw 7 angels which stood before God, and to them was given 7 trumpets. Skip down to verse 6, rather. Verse 6 and read it.
And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound.
So these guys prepared themselves to blow their trumpet. But something else. The trumpets, remember I told you, announces the battle. They don't create the battle. They let you know what's going to go on. So now, if you got 7 angels that's going to announce 7 battles or 7 plagues, then where are the plagues coming from? Let's go into Revelation, but keep your marker here. We're going to be in and out of this most afternoon. Let's go into Revelation, the 15th chapter. Revelation chapter 15. And we're going to start at verse 1. Revelation chapter 15 and verse 1. Read it.
And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God.
So these are symbolic, sisters and brothers. These 7 last plagues represent the wrath of God. In other words, when one angel blow, then the other angel's going to do something to this earth. Because it's the angel's going to cause it, sisters and brothers. The reason I know, because the Lord said he destroyed Egypt by sending evil angels among them. So the Lord's going to use these angels to do this earth in to the extent he wants to do it in. Skip down to verse 7. Verse 7 and go ahead.
And one of the four beasts gave unto the seven angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of God, who liveth forever and ever. And the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and from his power. And no man was able to enter into the temple till the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were fulfilled.
Now, no man could even exist until this, no man could get into the kingdom until this is all done, sisters and brothers. Because this is all done before the great tribulation. So you got these 7 angels with 7 trumpets, and you got another 7 angels with 7 of the last plagues. Now let's go and see what happened. Let's go back to Revelation, the 8th chapter, and we're going to read one verse. Verse 7. Revelation 8 and verse 7. Okay, read it.
The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth.
Go ahead.
And the third part of trees was burnt up.
Go ahead.
And all green grass was burnt up.
So now this area where this guy was ruling, this is what his big wrath is coming on. So when the first angel blew, a third part of the earth was messed up. Now let's go and see what happened. Let's go back to Revelation the 16th chapter, but keep your marker here. Revelation the 16th chapter and verse 1. Revelation 16 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth.
Go ahead.
And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image.
See, now, the Lord's people are protected, but those that have the mark of the great tribulation, they did good. Everything was good for them. Revelation, the 8th chapter, because we want to show you every time a trumpet is blown, a vial of wrath is poured out. In other words, the Lord brings some kind of destruction upon this earth. And this is upon this earth, sisters and brothers. And all of these people that think they're going to be raptured off, they're going to be right here. Ain't nobody going no place until all this is over with. Revelation, the 8th chapter, and let's start reading at verse 8. Revelation 8 and 8. Okay, go ahead.
And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died.
Go ahead.
The third part of the ships were destroyed.
So the Lord was killing everything in that area. The Lord did some big damage on. Killed the fish, destroyed the ships, turned the sea to blood. Go ahead and read.
And the third angel sounded.
Now this is another angel. The third one sounded. Let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
And there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. These
stars that's falling, sisters and brothers, are not like the stars you see in the sky. These are angels. Every time the Lord do something, one of these angels come and do something to this earth. He's telling you what they're going to do to it. Go ahead and read.
And the name of the star is called wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood.
Go ahead.
And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
So he's going to mess up the water in that area. If you go and drink some of it, it will kill you. The Lord is doing this on this earth. And you've been in church all your life and didn't know what God was going to do to this earth. Before he comes. Go ahead and read.
And the fourth angel sounded. And the third part of the sun was smitten.
Go ahead.
And the third part of the moon and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened.
Go ahead.
And the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise.
Now, we can't even imagine I can't in my mind what this looked like. But I know one thing, I guess when he started cutting the sun down to a third, then that must increase the heat. I'm going to show you why I said that. Now let's go into Revelation the 16th chapter. Because he's letting you know every time this trumpet is blown, something happened. Revelation 16, and we're going to start at verse 8. Revelation chapter 16, and we're going to start reading at verse 8. Okay, go ahead.
And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men... Now
this let you know, sisters and brothers. Now we read under the vial, under the trumpet, he was dealing with the sun. Same thing under the fourth vial of red, dealing with the sun. And this sun, and what did he do? The sun scorched men with fire. Go ahead and read.
And men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of God.
Can you imagine that? It's going to be just like the sun and fell out the sky on your sister and brother. And then instead of them praying to God, these are the ones that had the mark of the beast that he's punishing now. And so they blaspheme God. They curse God. Go ahead and read.
Which had power over these plagues. And they repented not to give him glory.
And they refused to give God glory. Because they can't believe that this is happening to them. Because they will have gone through a time when they thought that they had power even to God, because they was able to destroy his holy people. But when God bring this wrath, they can't believe it. Instead of them repenting, they blaspheme God. Now let's go back to Revelation 8 chapter. I'm just letting you know, sisters and brothers, that this thing got worse. This thing got worse and worse as long as these trumpet was blowing. It just got worse. And the world ain't ready for this. But the world going to get it whether they're ready or not.
Right.
That's one thing I like about God. He ain't going to say, well, I'm going to wait until they make up their mind. I'm going to make their mind up for them.
Ooh.
Revelation 8 and verse 13. Verse 13. Okay, read it.
And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven.
Go ahead.
Saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. By reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound.
So that lets you know now all of this stuff that happened, sisters and brothers, men have been scorched and burnt. Water turned to blood. You drank bitter water and then died. The Lord did all kind of carnage, but that wasn't nothing compared to what was about to come. That's why I said, woe, 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 because of the voice of the last three angels. Because now, once the Lord stoked this man up, it's just like putting a stick in a hornet's nest and stirring it up in a bottle, and then all of a sudden you take the top off. The hornets are mad now. So this man is mad now. The Lord done whooped him in the anger, and now he's going to turn them on one another. Now let's look at the first of the woe. Let's go into Revelation, the 9th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Revelation chapter 9 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven into the earth.
Go ahead.
And to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
Now this is Satan, sisters and brothers. No, he didn't fall from high heaven. The Lord already called him, had Paul told you he was also the, what is that called? The prince of the air. He been trying to get, but he can't get there. But wherever high he was, the Lord sent him back to do his job. These stars represent angels, even if they're evil angels. Go ahead and read.
And he opened the bottomless pit, and there rose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace.
Go ahead.
And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit.
Now, this is no actual pit. What he's doing is he's activating Western Europe, which ain't nobody paying no attention, sisters and brothers. The nation that's in Western Europe, that's going to be led by 10 nations. So he activated. Here they come. What do you mean in the bottomless pit? Ain't nobody paying no attention. They think Western Europe don't have no strength. Everybody's still looking at America. But here they come. Go ahead and read.
And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth. And unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power.
Now, John so they looked like locusts. John didn't know nothing about this modern equipment. Can you imagine a time of a man in the days of Jesus looking at this war material that we have nowadays? He can only try and find some kind of animal to liken it to. So it looked like a locust to him. But they had the power of scorpions. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their forehead.
So if you don't have God's seal, then you're in trouble. Go ahead and read.
And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man.
Now, this must have been real bad. They didn't want to kill him. What they want to do is convert them, sisters and brothers. This is Western Europe. They don't want to destroy the Eastern Europeans. They want to bring them into the net. They even have a catechism. A long time ago, it said, pray for Russia. They're not interested in destroying Russia and our ally. They want to bring the old European Union back together. I mean the whole European instead of just the West. So how long did they torment them? 5 months. Go ahead and read.
And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it.
But that's going to be real bad, isn't it? You're going to seek death, and you're not going to be able to find it, sisters and brothers. Go ahead.
And shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them.
That tells me that is either germ or chemical warfare. For how long was they punished? 5 months. Where was Jesus at this time? In heaven, looking down, and people looking at him. 5 months, sisters and brothers. People think, boom, here he comes. No. Remember, heaven rolled back like a stroke. Then Jesus went and he marked his service. Then once his service was marked, then he got these angels with the 7 trumpets and the 7 vials of wrath with the plague of God and started bringing them on this earth. So now he just mobilized these guys against the West. Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11 and go ahead.
And they had a king over them.
And they had a king over them.
Which is the angel of the bottomless pit.
Which is the angel of the bottomless pit, sisters and brothers. That's that angel that fell from it. That's that star that fell, because these stars are angels. What is this angel called? Go ahead.
Whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. But in the Greek tongue has his name Apollyon.
Abaddon and Apollyon both mean one thing, destroyer. Because that's what Satan is. He's a destroyer, sisters and brothers. That's why I know it was Satan that the Lord sent in Egypt. Because he said he would not suffer the destroyer to come into your house. God, you have good angels to do good things, and all them bad angels, he used them to do bad things because God controlled them all. This is what the world don't understand.
That's right.
I remember years ago, I said in Washington Park that Satan worked for God. Boy, they couldn't believe it. Boy, you'd have lost your mind. If he was on his own, you wouldn't be here because he would have destroyed the whole creation.
Right.
Look at Job. God told him what he could and could not do to Job, didn't he? Handcuffed him. It's all that simple. So now, this angel of the bottomless pit is Satan. He is the king of all of these nations, sisters and brothers. And he is a destroyer, always will be. Go ahead and read.
One woe is past. And behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter.
Go ahead.
And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
Now you notice, don't nothing happen until that trumpet is blown. Isn't that correct? 6 angels sounded, so another angel said, I want you to loose the 4 angels that are bound in the great river Euphrates. Remember, he told them 4 angels in the beginning of the 7th chapter of Revelation to hold back the 4 winds, didn't he? Hold back the earth. Don't let them do nothing until I seal my servant. Then he worked up to their time now and said, let them go. And let's see what happened when he let them go. Go ahead and read.
Verse 15. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year to slay the 3rd part of men.
Now, the Lord have angels to do specific jobs. These angels here, they had one job, and that was to kill a 3rd part of men. Don't you know that's a whole lot of people, sister and brother? God is the one that's orchestrating this destruction. Go ahead and read.
And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them.
sisters and brothers, 200,000. That is a whole lot of, that's an army, not just the people army. You know how many it is? That's 200 million soldiers, sisters and brothers. That's why I know Russia and China together is not enough. Russia is going to lead that whole Eastern Bloc. So here they come, 200,000, or 200 million soldiers. Go ahead and read.
And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them,
go ahead,
having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone.
So I can imagine John looking at all this stuff. It was all he could to keep his sanity. That's why I know the Lord had to keep his hand on his head to keep it from exploding. He's looking at all this. Remember, guy in the days of when Jesus had left, looking at what's going on now in all these big weapons. He saw this weapon look like a lion's head. Boy, he got fire and smoke come out of his mouth. All kind of stuff. Go ahead and read.
By these three was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths.
I mean, these guys killed a third part of men. This is Eastern Europe. You know why? Because he's going to tell you where these armies came from. Let's go into Revelation 16th chapter. Because remember, it said, loose the angels that are bound in the great Euphrates. The Euphrates River, sisters and brothers, separates East and Western Europe. Get your map and look at it. Everybody on the other side of the Euphrates River are going to be led by the Russians. Maybe that's why this guy over there is getting such a pass. Maybe that's why we got a president we got. Maybe this whole thing is a hand of God getting ready to bring this thing down.
It is.
Because it is extremely unusual. Nothing like this has ever happened. Maybe the Lord is the one that's pulling the strings now.
Right. Puppet master.
You know, Russia got to get her house in order. Western Europe got to get their house in order. And the Lord has used the United States to do this. I'm going to pump Russia up. I'm going to ignore my old ally. Say, what? Now we got to stand on our own. We don't have the umbrella no more to hide under. Everything is falling in place. And the world is mad about politics. What you better do is be concerned about your well-being of your soul.
Right.
So where did these angels come from? The Lord is going. This big army come from. The Lord's going to show you. Let's go under the vial of Rethna. Let's start it at 16 and 12. Revelation 16 and 12. Okay, read it.
And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. And the water thereof was dried up.
Go ahead.
That the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
So then we read under the trumpet, they said, loose the four angels and the great river Euphrates. But this is what they did. They dried up the great river. This is symbolically, but then it might be for real. Either way I go, to make the way of what?
Kings of the east.
The kings of the east. Get you a map and see whoever east of Euphrates, and that's who you see going to come to the west. Because the West didn't want to incorporate them. You know, we're going to convert them. We're going to bring them all under one banner. Europe going to be one. Everybody's going to be Catholic. Going to be just like it was during the Holy Roman Empire. But them Eastern Europeans got something else on their mind. They said, we're going to kill them all. And by the time they got through, they killed a third part of men. What verse are we?
That was the end of 12.
Go ahead and read.
And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon.
Go ahead.
And out of the mouth of the beast. And out of the mouth of the false prophet.
Go ahead.
For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth into the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty.
See, unclean spirit. How can Satan, being an unclean spirit, have an unclean spirit come out of his mouth? This is conversation, sisters and brothers. James told you that about the tongue. It's a little member, but it set on fire the courses of nations, of nature, sisters and brothers. So these people threatening, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. After a while, somebody is going to accept your threat. Like you have some guys, you never threat because they believe you. Brother, I'm going to blow your head off. I believe you, therefore I'm going to blow yours off first. These are unclean spirits that come out that brought the nation. And he gathered them where?
To the battle of that great day of God Almighty.
The battle of that great day to God Almighty. What verse are we?
That was the end of 14.
Go ahead and read.
Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame.
Because God's gotten ready to come now. The Lord said, look, if he don't cut this thing short, there won't be no flesh saved. So now he going to intervene now. He said, I come out of 3. Remember now, we done had 2 woes, and each one of those woes got worse. So now the Lord said, I come out as a thief, and look, he going to find out who is clothed with the spiritual garment or who is naked. And you know what that nakedness is? Spiritual nakedness, sister and brother. You have been taught a false doctrine. You have been praying to a false God. Therefore, you are not clothed. And you're going to get caught naked. You ain't going to know what's going on. There's one thing that's going to happen, though. You have a high possibility of being killed. Go ahead and read.
And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
See, the Lord is orchestrating this. The Lord is the one, he gathered them there. They think that they're doing this on his own. The Lord is pulling it, sisters and brothers. The Lord gathered them in the place that's called in the Hebrew tongue the Armageddon. You didn't heard of the war of Armageddon? This is where it came from. Now let's go to that place. Let's go into Joel, the 2nd chapter. Joel chapter 2. Because the Lord is doing this. That's why long time ago I learned not to fear nobody but the Lord. Everybody else is controlled by the Lord, even the evil angels, sisters and brothers. He controlled them all. Because if he didn't control them, they would destroy the world. And the reason I know is control them, I saw what he did with Job and Satan. And then he said, I destroyed Egypt by sending evil angels among them. So who sent the evil angels? The Lord did, sisters and brothers. The Lord did. So now the Lord is the one that's controlling this battle. The Lord is running it all. That's why I'm sure the Lord has put the world exactly where it is right now, because it's time for this thing to come to an end. How do I know that, Brother Boer? Because I see the 10 nations in Western Europe. And the Lord said in Daniel the 2nd chapter, in the days of these kings, the Lord of heaven is going to set up a kingdom. So I'm looking at this thing, sister and brother. I don't know how long. I hear one brother in one of the other camps told somebody it's going to be 10 or 15 years. I'm going to take issue with him immediately. Because he don't know how long either. Because the Lord gave you signs, sisters and brothers. We know the sign. So now he gathered them into the valley of Megiddo, or either for the war of Armageddon. And let's see what happened now. 2-1. Joel 2-1. Let's see how it starts out. Go ahead and read.
Blow ye the trumpet in Zion.
Blow ye the trumpet in Zion. The trumpet, sisters and brothers, this is what this day is represent. What's going to happen in the end days. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion. Go ahead and read.
And sounding an alarm in my holy mountain.
Go ahead.
Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble.
Go ahead.
For the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand.
Didn't they say, hide us from the wrath of the Lamb? For his day has come. This is the day that it's talking about, sisters and brothers. This is the day that these guys was talking about in the 6th chapter of Revelation, the day of the Lord. And I mean, it's going to come ugly. People tell me, I'll be glad when Christ comes. You don't know what you're asking for. Go ahead and read.
A day of darkness and of gloominess.
Uh-huh.
A day of clouds and of thick darkness.
Go ahead.
As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong.
Uh-huh.
There has not been ever the like.
Go ahead.
Neither shall be any more after it,
Uh-huh.
even to the years of many generations.
Look, sisters and brothers, when last time you had an army that had 100 million soldiers? There ain't never been no army that big since man been on this planet. 200 million soldiers. I'm sorry. Ain't never been somebody that had 200 million soldiers. And don't you know that's a lot of soldiers? Nobody has mustered an army that big. We're talking about size of nations, aren't we? But these are soldiers. So this day ain't never been a day like this here. A day of gloominess, a day of darkness. Ain't never been a day like this. These guys come and say, fire devour before us. And behind them is what? Waste and destruction. Read that third verse. Go ahead.
A fire devour before them, and behind them a flame burneth.
Go ahead.
The land is as the Garden of Eden before them.
Go ahead.
And behind them a desolate wilderness.
Go ahead.
Yeah, nothing shall escape them.
So these guys say, they destroying everything. That's this Western Europe, Eastern Europe coming across Euphrates, sister and brother. They're probably using conventional weapons so far. But sooner or later, somebody going to want to push the button. The Lord ain't going to allow that, sister and brother. So fire divided before them, and behind them is nothing but waste and destruction. It's like the Garden of Eden before them, and nothing but desolation and the wilderness behind. Because they are killing everything. Remember, they're killing the third part of men, sister and brother. They're destroying everything in their way. Skip down to verse 10. Verse 10, and go ahead. Verse 10, go ahead.
The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble.
Go ahead.
The sun and the moon shall be dark. And the stars shall withdraw their shine.
It's always giving you a cue at what time this is, sister and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army.
Wait a minute. Before his army? This is Russia and her allies. You mean Russia is a servant of God? Not the servant as in righteousness, but he's going to be a servant in destruction. This is the Lord's army, sister and brother. He's running this thing. That's why can't nobody do nothing to stop that guy over there. Because it is his time to perform. It's his time to step up on the stage.
Right.
The prophet's been talking about you a long time. Now come on and do what you're supposed to do. Finish that 11th verse. Go ahead and read.
For his camp is very great. For he is strong that executed his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. And who can abide it? So
it's the Lord that's doing this, sister and brother. Can't nobody stop it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what happened in the interim. On our way there, this is going to happen. Because when these trumpets start blowing, the Lord is going into action. Now, we got Western Europe have attacked Eastern Europe. Now, Eastern Europe have reciprocated and killed a third part of men. And the army that's winning is the Eastern army. Why they winning? Because God said, it is my army.
That's right.
Nobody would ever imagine in their mind that Russia would be called the servants of God. Well, Satan is a servant.
That's right.
Nobody ever realized that either. Don't you know the world don't realize that? Now let's pursue this. Let's go into Revelation, the 11th chapter. Because this whole thing is orchestrated by the Lord, and the Lord is the one that sent forth these angels with these trumpets. The Lord is. And it had it all written, so we would know it come from the Lord. And the people that don't know this, these are people that have been found naked, sisters and brothers. So we know where this thing goes. It's not something we guessing at. We know where this thing's going. And if you hang around here long enough, you're going to know it too. While everybody else is being surprised and astonished, I can't believe. That's because you don't have no understanding. Revelation 11, we're going to start reading at verse 14. 11 and verse 14. Okay, go ahead.
The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
Now this is the worst one here, because here come the Lord now. The third woe cometh quickly. Go ahead and read.
And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever.
Now notice he didn't say, then he blowed that seven, when the seventh angel sounded, he didn't say, then the Lord raptured his people off the earth.
No.
He said the kingdom, pay attention now, the kingdom of his world have become the kingdom of the Lord and his Christ. In other words, he coming to take this by force, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped God.
Go ahead.
Saying, we give thee thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and was and art to come.
Go ahead.
Because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and hast reigned.
See, people don't look at the Lord reigning, like ruling. Old book called it dominion. That means dominating this earth. It's going to be like I want it, or it ain't going to be at all. It's all that's simple. Then that really old saying will come to pass that you hear people say, it's either my way or the highway. That's the way it is going to be with the Lord. Go ahead and read. What verse?
Verse 18.
Uh-huh.
And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come.
Go ahead.
And the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
So now, this is a time for everybody to be paid. All of the saints, time for them to come out the grave. All the prophets and the righteous men down through the generations. It is time for them to be paid. It's also time for the Lord to pay the wicked. This is payday for everybody when the Lord come out of them skies. Go ahead and read.
And the temple of God was opened in heaven. And there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament.
Go ahead.
And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail.
Now let's show you that this is called this, but actually this is going to happen when the seventh angel pour out his wrath. Let's go into Revelation 16 chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 17. Revelation 16 and verse 17. This all happens. It's all orchestrated when the angel blow these trumpets, sisters and brothers, the time that this day represents. Revelation 16 and verse 17. Go ahead and read.
And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air. And there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done.
It is done, sisters and brothers. It's all over with. It is finished. Go ahead and read.
And there were voices and thunders and lightnings. And there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great.
See, that can't happen at one time. We ain't never had an earthquake like this here. Go ahead and read.
And the great city was divided into 3 parts. And the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came and remembers before God to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath.
Go ahead.
And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found.
So it's time for the Lord to take down Babylon the Great now. That's Western Europe, also along with Russia. Go ahead and read.
And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail.
I forgot how big the other book I had will tell you the size of the talent, and the weight of it, sisters and brothers. Those are some big pieces of hail. I mean, one of them hit you, it don't squash you, it puts a dent in the ground with you under. So they ain't never had one like that. What verse was that?
This is the middle of 21.
Go ahead.
Because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great.
Now, sisters and brothers, this is at the coming of the Lord. But what's happening is that 7th trumpet blown. Now, to let you know that this 7th trumpet not only include the destroying that the Lord is going to do, but this 7th trumpet brings him too. Now, let's go in the 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter. And we're going to point out some things here, sisters and brothers. The Lord is teaching us all over the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. If we pay attention, you will get the message. But we got to pay attention. But a lot of people don't pay attention, sisters and brothers. A lot of people is hyped up on feeling good. It's okay to feel good until the bad time comes. Then everybody pays. 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 14. This is talking about the resurrection of the dead, but we ain't concerned with that. But we're going to start at verse 14, 4 and 14. We're concerned with the coming of the Lord. 1 Thessalonians, the 4th chapter, and verse 14. Okay, read it.
For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him.
See, this is another thing too, people. That if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, then we're going to believe that when he comes, God is going to bring them with him. But the problem with this is, if we are in the ground, and the people that are living on top of the ground, how, and Jesus is in heaven, how is it that he's going to bring him with them? Let's keep reading. See, a lot of people will read this and stop preaching. See, he's going to bring it. See, the people in heaven, he's going to bring all of them with him. But no, you keep reading. Go ahead and read.
For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep.
This we say unto you by the word of the Lord, because it's already written it's going to happen like this. Those of us that are living, we ain't going to get in the way of the ones that are dead. Go ahead and read.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. And the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Then the dead in Christ going to rise. This is why the Lord is descending. But back up and read that again. I want something that I was going to see if we're going to pick it up. But back right up and read it again. Go ahead and read.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout.
Wait a minute. What did Joshua say? Shout. Go ahead and read.
With the voice of the archangel. And with the trump of God.
Go ahead.
And the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds.
Now, those of us that are living and the dead, we're going to be caught up together and we're going to meet the Lord in the clouds. He's coming down and we're going up. Go ahead and read.
To meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord.
And so shall we ever be with the Lord. Nobody bothered to ask now. The dead that left from under the ground, the living left on top of the ground, and the Lord that left heaven, and we done met somewhere in between, and so shall we ever be where? Floating around in the cloud?
No. On this earth.
But Paul said, according to the word of God. So let's go back and look at that word that he's talking to. Let's go back to Zechariah the 14th chapter. This is what he's talking about, sisters and brothers. Because nobody bothered to read this, because they're New Testament Christians. Therefore, I can't say you have half the knowledge, you have no knowledge. Because one thing with the word of God, you have to understand it all or nothing. Zechariah 14. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Zechariah 14 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee.
Now, it's keep on telling, this is the day of the Lord, right? The day of the Lord. The day of the wrath of the Lamb. Because this day is come now. And he said, your spoil is going to be in the midst of you. Go ahead and read.
For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken.
Go ahead.
And the houses rifled.
Go ahead.
And the women ravished. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity. And the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city.
That's why I tell brothers, brothers come, man, we're going to go back to the Holy Land. Where our people, look, I don't want to be there. Because Jerusalem's going to be assaulted by this Eastern army. Your houses rifled, that means they're going to shoot up your houses. And they're going to rape your sisters, your mothers, and your daughters. I don't want to be there. Solomon said, like your brothers and your wives also. Solomon told you that there's a time for everything. And for every season there is a purpose. It is not the time to be in Jerusalem. If you are, you be smart. You be packing your clothes and getting up out of there. Because that's what's going to happen. Go ahead and read.
Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle.
So now he's going to come forth and he's going to fight then. This is the battle of Armageddon. But before he come forth, he's going to let your wife and your daughters and your granddaughters be raped. He's going to let your houses be shot up. Then here he comes. Because you know why? Because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you're going to get the right treatment for being in the wrong place. People don't understand. Go ahead and read.
And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east.
Go ahead.
And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west.
Go ahead.
And there shall be a very great valley.
Go ahead.
And half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south.
Go ahead.
And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach into Azar. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah.
Why are the people going to flee to the mountains, sister and brother? Because they will have suffered greatly under the great tribulation. So now, when the Lord comes, his servants are going to be running to him, just like they did in the days of Uzziah the king. And what's going to happen? Go ahead and read.
And the Lord my God shall come.
And the Lord my God shall come.
And all the saints with him.
And all the saints with him. Where did he get these saints, sisters and brothers? They met him in the air. And everybody come back down to the earth. That's what happens, sisters and brothers, when you follow the scripture. You don't be saying that people are going to be in heaven or people are in heaven. You're going to meet them in the air, and everybody comes back down here. That's after the seventh trumpet is blown. That's why I said in Revelation, it is finished. The kingdom of this world has become the same kingdom of the Lord and his Christ. Skip down and read verse 9. Verse 9 and go ahead.
And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one.
He's going to be king over all the earth, sisters and brothers. That day, there's going to be one Lord. Let's read a little more of that. Go ahead and read.
All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon.
Go ahead.
South of Jerusalem.
In other words, he's going to flatten the land. Ain't nobody going to be left. The ones that the earthquake don't run out, the hell is going to run them out. They're going to clean the land up, sisters and brothers, because the Lord is not coming directly to Jerusalem. He's going to the wilderness. Go ahead and read.
And it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Haniel unto the king's wine presses.
Go ahead.
And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited.
Now that's talking about us, sisters and brothers, the real Israel. That's he's going to raise it up. That's once he get in it, though. But look what's going to happen to the people that fought against him. Go ahead and read.
And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes.
Go ahead.
And their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. And they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. That's
when the Lord bring them armies down. He's going to turn them on one another. Then again, too, he's going to, like I called, uncreate you. You're going to be standing there, all of a sudden your eyes just going to disappear in your head. You standing up and your flesh going to consume away on your bones. All of a sudden the skeleton fall. Lord just going to speak the word, and he's going to kill him. This is an ugly death, sister and brother.
It is.
And it ain't nuclear war. Remember, the Lord stopped that.
That's right.
This coming from the Lord himself. This coming from the Lord himself. Go ahead and read.
And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem. And the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents.
Go ahead.
As this plague. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles.
So when the Lord comes, he's going to set up in Jerusalem, sisters and brothers, and everybody got to come up and keep the Feast of Tabernacle. I often wondered, why don't he say the rest of the feast? Because all of them going to be fulfilled. Now it's time for Tabernacle, which is the Feast of Ingathering. That's when he's going to gather his people, just like he gathered his saints in the first resurrection. But all nations that's left, They got to go up and keep tabernacles, sisters and brothers. Now let's go into Matthew, the 24th chapter. I have 3 more places after this. Matthew chapter 24. Because all of this is orchestrated how the Lord is going to come. The Lord told you over and over what he's going to do at his coming. You should not have any problem recognizing when the Lord is going to come. 24, and we're going to start reading at verse 27. 24 and verse 27. Go ahead and read.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even into the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
You know, why did the Lord tell you how he's going to come? Back up a verse. I'm going to show you why he said that. Back around on up. The verse 26, and read it.
Wherefore they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert.
That's just the Lord, sister. The Lord is in the desert. Go ahead and read.
Go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers. Believe it not.
They're going to say, you know, the Lord he done moved to Jerusalem. He's sitting in the holy place now. He said, don't believe it. I ain't going to sneak up on y'all. Then you're going to hear a rumor. Then it's going to come up on the news. Don't you know the Lord is sitting in the temple of God over there? Don't believe it. I'm telling you how I'm going to come. Now read verse 27. Go ahead and read.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even into the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
He said, that's how I'm going to come. So you're going to get false Christ going to come up, and they're going to say one of them is sitting in the temple now. He said, look, you're going to see me. When I get up off that throne, that's when you're going to see me. You will have looked at me for at least 5 months. But now, here I come. Go ahead and read.
For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
And that's in the valley of Megiddo, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened.
Go ahead.
And the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven.
Go ahead.
And the powers of the heaven shall be shaken.
Go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Now, why they said a sign, sisters and brothers? Because when that heaven rolled back and the moon turned red and the sun black, stars fall, God is going to have to work this earth over. You understand? He's going to blow these 7 trumpets and pour out these 7 plagues. Now, once the last plague, the 7th trumpet is blown, and the last plague really is going to be the Lord himself. Then he's coming. That's why when the moon and everything do what it's going to do and the heaven roll back, that is a sign that he's getting ready to come. But once he get through blowing them trumpets and destroying what he wants to destroy on this earth, then he comes. Go ahead and read.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet.
Now this is when he's going to deliver Israel. He's going to send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet. Go ahead and read.
And they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
Now that's when the Lord is going to gather us, sisters and brothers, not a day before. If you're going to go over there on your own in the land, we read what's going to happen to you, don't we? They're going to shoot up your houses. They're going to rape your women. And the Lord is going to allow it. Oh, I don't know why the Lord is allowing this. You know, people, sometimes drama come up on people, and they always want to blame God. God, if God was, he wouldn't let this happen. Because God is. That's why it happened. Because of your wickedness.
That's right.
So he's going to send his angels with the sound of the trumpet, and he's going to gather his elect from 4 winds, from the 4 corners of the earth. He even told you that in Deuteronomy the 30th chapter. He said, if you be driven to the outmost part of the earth, from there I'm going to recover you. Let's go into Isaiah, the 27th chapter. Because Israel is not going to be returned as a nation until that time. And if you go over there prematurely, it's most likely you will not survive the great tribulation. Because when they get through dealing with you with the West, making you receive mark of the beast and everything, now here Russia going to come over and they're going to shoot up your houses and rape your women. You are in trouble. But I'm going to tell you something. Ignorance is costly. That old saying, what you don't know won't hurt you, that's the biggest lie ever been told. Everything that ever hurt me, if I had known about it, I wouldn't have did it.
That's right.
Don't no thief go in and with a pistol to rob a bank thinking he going to get caught.
That's right.
He thinking one thing, I'm going to go and get all the money and I'm going to make out. When he come out to play, somebody push the button, you got 2,000 cops with pistols and shotguns aimed on it. If he had known that, he wouldn't have robbed the bank.
That's right.
Knowledge, sisters and brothers, within itself is a safe haven because it will keep you out of a whole lot of trouble. Now here, Isaiah 27, we're going to start at verse 12. Because the Lord said when he grow that trumpet, then that's when he's going to start to gather his people. Verse 12, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt. And ye shall be gathered one by one, O ye children of Israel.
And let you know that no matter where you are, he's going to gather you. If it's 1,000, if it's one, he's going to gather you. You hear it under a rock, he's going to have an angel turn it over and have somebody grab you and say, come on. Just like he didn't leave one Israelite in Egypt, he's not going to leave one Israelite outside of the wilderness. Now, whether you get into land or not, that's another thing. But go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown.
Then to come to pass in that day that great trumpet shall be blown. Go ahead and read.
And they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
And shall worship the Lord in the holy mount at Jerusalem.
I mean, not only in Egypt and Assyria, but all around the earth, sisters and brothers, because Assyria is the one that scattered the 9 tribes. You're going to come from all over, but you ain't going nowhere until that great trumpet is sound. And that's that 7 trumpets, sisters and brothers. Because everything happens only when the trumpets are blown. Now let's go into 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Only when the trumpets are blown. Nothing happened before then. That'll let you know how important it is to observe this day. Because every year until the Lord comes, you're going to be reminded this is the day that brings the Lord. And this is what's going to happen. And this is how he is going to orchestrate this whole ending of this creation of his. By the hand of trumpet. No other way, sisters and brothers. 1 Corinthians 15, we're going to start reading at verse 49. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 49. 15 and 49. Okay, go ahead.
And as we are born the image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly.
Just like we flesh and blood, we're going to be spirit beings one day. This is the Lord's creation. This is what it is, the image of the heavenly. Go ahead and read.
Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Neither does corruption inherit incorruption.
Why can't flesh and blood inherit it? Because this is the Father's kingdom we're talking here, and there ain't going to be no flesh and blood around when the Father's king. Jesus is going to put out all enemies, and the last enemy he's going to put out is death. Therefore, there will be no more dying, and flesh and blood die. Spirit beings don't. Even if you're in the lake of fire, you're going to be a spirit being. Because that fire was created to punish spirit beings. Those are Satan and all his angels. Go ahead and read.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed.
I show you a mystery. Everybody's not going to die, but everybody's going to be changed. There's going to be some people living when Jesus comes, sisters and brothers. I intend to be one of them. But everybody is going to be changed. Go ahead and read.
In a moment.
In a moment.
In the twinkling of an eye.
In the twinkling of an eye.
At the last trump.
At what?
The last trump.
At the last trump, sisters and brothers. These trumpets call it, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
For the trumpet shall sound. And the dead shall be raised incorruptible.
Go ahead.
And we shall be changed.
That trumpet's going to sound. When that first trumpet sounds, sisters and brothers, the dead is going to be raised incorruptible. In other words, you're going to be God. You ain't going to deteriorate no more. And the ones that are living going to be changed. Go ahead and read.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption. And this mortal must put on immortality.
Tell me something, sister and brother. Give me a show of hand. How many of you was taught in your church that you was going to become immortal?
Not too many. Not too many.
Not too many. I don't see any. Give me another show of hands. I see one.
Like I said, not too many.
That's really something. So what was you promised when you went to your church? This is what I'm saying, sisters and brothers. God is creating immortals.
That's right.
God is creating God. So when that trumpet sound, we're going to become immortal, sisters and brothers. Ain't going to be no more dying. When? When the trumpet sound. Because before the trumpet, even the lamb, the wedding of the marriage of the lamb can't take place. Let's go to one last place. Let's go into Joel, the 2nd chapter. Joel chapter 2. You know, it is something. Most have been in church all your life, and you don't know these simple things. This ain't nothing hard. Why is it not hard? Ain't nothing hard if you can open up the book and read it, right?
That's right.
You have been taught how to read, how to speak English, how to read in English, and the Lord had a book written in English. It is not hard. Joel, the 2nd chapter. Joel chapter 2. And we're going to start reading at verse 15. Joel chapter 2. And we're going to start reading at verse 15. 2 and 15. Okay, read.
Blow the trumpet in Zion. Sanctify a fast. Call a solemn assembly.
Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. But the trumpet had to be blown to call a solemn assembly. Go ahead and read.
Gather the people. Sanctify the congregation.
Gather the people, sanctify the congregation. Go ahead and read.
Assemble the elders. Gather the children and those that suck the breast.
Go ahead.
Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber and the bride out of her closet.
Who is the bridegroom?
Bridegroom is Jesus.
Who is the bridegroom, I say?
Jesus.
Jesus. And the bride out of her closet. Because you are in a closet. Don't nobody know who you are.
That's right.
You don't know who you are. But when Jesus comes, here come the bridegroom. And then it's going to be declared, and everybody going to know that you are Israel. This closet door then is going to swing over, and you're going to step out. So can't you see why we keep the memorial of the blowing of the trumpet? Can't you see why the Lord say observe this day?
That's right.
Because it will remind you every year that the Lord is going to bring great destruction on this earth, and he's going to take you back to the land, and he's going to rule it. And you're going to rule at his side. I thank you for your time.